get back to that unfolding disaster in Central Texas. You've been talking about that a lot. Brittany, a holiday weekend deluge killing scores of people. High-risk rescues in high waters are underway right now.
And more than 400 first responders are on the scene. They've already rescued nearly 1,000 people since flooding started, triggering by an onslaught of torrential rainfall.
So here's what we know now. The flash flooding has claimed the lives of at least 80 people, including 28 children. There are still at least 41 people unaccounted for, many among them 10 girls and 1 counselor. Intense and desperate search and rescue operations are now underway. ABC's Mireya Villarreal joins us live from Kerrville, Texas, which, if you could tell me from right here, is about an hour northwest of San Antonio.
That's exactly right, Pedro. Charlene, Brittany, good to join you guys this morning. We're not too far from the San Antonio area. This is one of the most heavily affected areas. And if you take a look over my left shoulder right here, you can just see one example of what they are dealing with in this community. This home was actually on the cement slab that you see right below it. But because of the force of the floodwaters and 2 homes that actually came off of their cement slabs, it pushed this home about 20 yards and then went floating down that way. The only thing that stopped it down there from other homes just kind of going down river is the fact that they ran into 2 other, trees right there that are rooted in the ground. I mean, just to show you the fury, the power of what this kind of weather can do.
So from your perspective, has the response to the flooding been adequate?
Listen, we have spoken with local leaders over the last 3, going on almost 4 days. They have 400, emergency responders here from 20 different agencies. They have definitely pulled in all the resources they can for the search and rescue mission, but there are a lot of questions. Did the community, did the campers get enough of an alert early on to get them out of the area safely? If you hear it from the point of view of the community, there is a frustration. They definitely knew rain was going to come to this area. They knew at one point it might be heavy rain, but they never expected this amount in such a short amount of time. Yesterday the governor talked about whether or not evacuation orders should have been put in place by local leaders, by state leaders. His response to that is, listen, by the time we knew how bad this was getting, if we had put an evacuation order in place, could we have even jeopardized more people's lives? Because we're asking them to leave and get out during the rain, during the worst part of this flooding, and maybe putting them on the roadways that are going to be flooded in and of themselves. So, it's a no-win situation. This will clearly be investigated on all different levels to try and figure out exactly how things went down, what could be done differently in the future. But more importantly, for the emergency responders that we rode along with, like the U.S. Coast Guard, for them, it is about the mission of finding people.
Yeah, clearly this investigation is continuing and learning how they can make sure this doesn't happen again. But in the meantime, there is this disaster and you are in the center of it, Mireya. Tell us about what your experience was like, because you rode with the Coast Guard, correct?
We did. We were able to get in with the Coast Guard yesterday. What was really unique about this experience isn't just the fact that we got to go on one of their planes, but this plane is uniquely equipped with life-saving technology. They have infrared cameras that allow their operator inside to turn a normal looking picture. So you're looking at a color picture of what's happening down below on the ground to all of a sudden this infrared black and white look. And to see that, it shows off the heat that is in the area below to show the rescuers if there is anybody down there. The thing about this part of the country, Texas and the hill country, is it is very green. It is very lush. We've had a lot of rain over the last 2 months. So it's beautiful. People want to be here on holidays like the 4th of July. But in this situation, it has made things very difficult. Not only are first responders having to deal with the debris that has come from the actual flooding, but on top of that, then you have trees and beltways that are now full of very beautiful big trees. That is also creating more of a problem for emergency responders. So being in there with the Coast Guard, being able to see this, with a bird's eye view, gave us some real perspective on what they're having to deal with and why it's taking an all-out effort of, air, land, and in the sea as well, in the river.
Yeah.
And Mireya, to make matters more complicated, there is more rain forecast later this week, not as heavy compared to what they saw over the weekend. But what is the plan now to continue the recovery effort while keeping people safe with this next round of rainfall?
You know, guys, every day since I've been here, so we showed up just hours after this major flooding happened, and we knew that something was going down. You know, it has rained every day since that major flood. It comes in waves, and it comes in different types of strength. What is difficult, especially for the guys in the air, is if it is overcast and if we see dark skies, foggy, a foggy, anticipation here, they can't obviously fly drones and helicopters. Those have been essential in the search and rescue mission. So then they have to obviously pivot, right? Then they go to the ground. What can our ground people do? For the first few days, the ground guys couldn't even get on the ground because the floodwaters were still, all the way up to where I'm standing. Over the last 24, 48 hours, we've seen the floodwaters recede. So now they have a mission of everybody's going to check out the riverbanks now. So I think we will see the weather play a role in this, but not so much of a hindrance as what we saw those first few days.
Oh, clearly a complicated mission indeed. ABC's Mireya Villarreal, thank you for your reporting from Kerrville, Texas. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, through the damage and devastation, utter catastrophe, there are some incredible stories of survival.
Yeah, take the Fry family, for instance, on an annual vacation to the River Inn Resort in Hunt, Texas, one of the hardest hit areas. Overnight, the waters of the Guadalupe River rising more than 25 feet in an hour. David Fry going door to door in the hotel, alerting as many people as possible, and eventually hoisting all 33 members of his family to the roof of the hotel. And guess what? They all survived.
So we went through banging on doors, just trying to notify as many people as possible and get them out and push them up to the road. A couple of vehicles had already been lost off the roadway to fast water, and it was a very, very close call. And had we been 10 or 15 minutes later, it would have been too late.
Just an incredible story. Yeah. David's efforts likely saving dozens of lives. I mean, obviously his entire family that he got up there, others at the hotel as well, and even people in homes across the street.
We're going to continue to hear more and more stories just like this.
Yeah.
Just heroism that comes from tragedy.
And that's what I love, that we can share these personal stories too. Stay with Eyewitness News and ABC News as we follow the response to the deadly flooding in Texas. You can also find the latest information at ABC7NY.